Now let us see some important concepts related with integral representations. So related with the Fourier sine integral representation, Fourier cosine integral representation, we are going to introduce the Fourier sine transform and Fourier cosine transform. So first let us recall the Fourier integral theorem. It says that if f of x is a function defined on the real line, it satisfies three existential conditions, then it can be written as a Fourier integral f of x equal to integral 0 to infinity a omega cos omega x plus b omega sin omega x d omega, where a omega is obtained by this formula and b omega is given by this formula. And of course you know that if the function f of x is either odd or even, then one of these terms, that is a omega or b omega, will vanish. That is, if f of x is even, then b omega will vanish, the entire term will vanish. And if f of x is odd, then a omega and cos omega x, this term will vanish in the formula, and a omega will be, in the or even case, a omega will be obtained as 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity f of x into cos omega x dx, as we can see in the second slide. So it says that suppose f of x is an even function on the real line, or a given function on the positive real axis, which can be assumed to be extended as an even function to the entire arm. Okay, in that case, f of x with those conditions satisfied, then f of x can be written as integral 0 to infinity a omega cos omega x d omega, where a omega is 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity f of x cos omega x dx. And similarly for odd functions also, we can obtain f of x in terms of sin omega x. Okay, this is called the Fourier cosine integral representation, and this is called the Fourier sine integral representation. And from this we are going to see, or we are going to define the Fourier cosine and sine integral transforms. Okay, first let us recall the concept of integral transforms. So a function f of x is converted to another function of a new variable s by the help of integration. That's what is done in integral transforms. That is, we multiply f of x with a function of two variables k s x, where s is a new variable, and then integrated from a to b with respect to x here. Okay, it has to be x. Then you get a function of s, f, that is taken as capital F of s. So in the case of Laplace transform, we have seen that this k of sx is nothing but e raised to minus sx, and a is 0 and b is infinity. Okay, we can get integral transforms from this sine and cosine representations. So if you see the sine and cosine representations, you can see that f of x is represented as integral 0 to infinity a omega into cos omega x d omega, where a omega is obtained by multiplying this f of x with a function 2 by pi into cos omega x. Okay, so this 2 by pi I am taking along with this cos omega x. So f of x is converted into a new function of a new variable omega, this a omega. Okay, so that is similar to this, that is f of x is multiplied by a new function, and the answer is obtained in terms of a new variable. So you can take the this as a transform, that is f of x is going to a omega. F of x is multiplied with a function of omega and s x along with this constant taken inside, and you get a new function of omega. So this is what happens to f of x. Okay, so this can be taken as a transform, that is f of x going to a omega, or if you take sine, then f of x going to b omega, which follows from this, that is f of x multiplied with sine omega x and integrated from 0 to infinity. This 2 by pi is taken along with the sine omega x, and you get a new function b omega. Okay, so f of x is going either to a omega or b omega. If you take k of omega x is equal to 2 by pi cos omega x or 2 by pi sin omega x, and this a and b as 0 and infinity respectively. Okay, So that's how we can define a new transform. But we could have defined this Fourier cosine transform. You can see that here you are using the help of cosine transform to get a omega. So you could have defined the Fourier cosine transform of f of x as a omega, and the Fourier sine transform, here it should be s, Fourier sine transform of f of x to be b omega. Okay, but for theoretical purpose, for getting something called Plancherel's theorem, it says that the input and output will have the same, should have the same norm. For that condition, we will use a simple trick. That is, instead of taking k omega as 2 by pi cos omega x, we will be taking it as root of 2 by pi cos omega x, and in the second case, we will be taking it as k omega x as root of 2 by pi sin omega x, which we will see in the next slide. Anyway, so the advantage is, from f of x to a omega, you can use the constant as root of 2 by pi, and for coming back, so we'll have inverse transform, right? So for coming back from a omega to f of x also, we'll be having the same constant root of 2 by pi. That's the idea is, we'll be dividing this root of 2 by pi into two terms, root of 2 by pi and root of 2 by pi. One will be used for going to the output, and then the other two, root of 2 by pi, will be taken while coming from the output to input back. That is for the inverse transform. Okay, all these things will be given in the next slide. So we define the Fourier cosine transform of f of x as root of 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity f of x into cos omega x dx. Actually, this root of 2 by pi is coming along with this cos omega x, but we'll be writing it outside because it has nothing to do with the integration. So instead of this f of s, since we have Fourier sine and Fourier cosine, we will be using the notation f cap c omega for Fourier cosine transform of f of x. So this is the Fourier cosine transform of f of x. This is how it is defined. Okay, so what happens is, you know that a omega is nothing but 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity, the same thing. So the difference between a omega and f cap c omega is that if you multiply this f cap c omega with root of 2 by pi, you should be getting a omega, or a omega, from a omega you can get the Fourier cosine transform by dividing this a omega by root of 2 by pi. Okay, so the thing is that if you know how to calculate a omega, then calculating fc cap omega is very simple. You just divide it by root of 2 by pi, or you consider the constant as root of 2 by pi in the formula of a omega. That's what. Okay, now the thing is how to go back from this fc cap omega to f of x. That's also coming from the Fourier cosine representation. Here you know that a omega, from a omega you can go to f of x by multiplying a omega with cos omega x and integrating with respect to d omega. So a omega into cos omega x is integrated with respect to omega to get f of x back. But here you have root of 2 by pi short in a omega in this formula. So here you don't have 2 by pi, you will have only root of 2 by pi. So for making it as 2 by pi, you need another root of 2 by pi, right? So integral 0 to infinity fc cap omega into root of 2 by pi cos omega x will give you f of x back. This is just the inverse part. That is, you use the first formula to derive this. This is what is made use of, this formula. So instead of a omega, you use root of 2 by pi into fc cap omega. Okay, so this is how you get f of x back from fc cap omega. Or you can say that the inverse of Fourier cosine inverse of fc cap omega is f of x, and the inverse is obtained from this formula. So this is what we mean by saying fc cap inverse of fc cap omega. And as I said earlier, a omega is nothing but root of 2 by pi multiplied with the fc cap omega. So there is a simple difference between the Fourier cosine transform and a omega, just the difference of a fraction. Now similarly, like this, we will define the Fourier sine transform of f of x also. So instead of cos omega x, you have to use sine omega x, and the resultant, this Fourier sine integral, Fourier sine transform will be represented as fs cap omega. So this is called the Fourier sine transform. And for going back also, you will be having the similar type of formula, that is f of x is equal to root of 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity fs cap omega cos omega x d omega. So this is the inverse transform of the Fourier sine transform. So the relation between b omega and fs cap omega is just the root of 2 by pi. Now we will see some examples. So we have already seen that in the case of Fourier integral representation, Fourier cosine integral representation and Fourier sine integral representation, we have seen how to calculate the Fourier cosine integral representation of e raised to minus x for x positive. So there a omega was calculated to be 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity e raised to minus x cos omega x dx. And here the only difference is that for finding the cosine transform, Fourier cosine transform, we need to use root of 2 by pi in place of 2 by pi. So the answer, that is the Fourier cosine transform, will be just root of 2 by pi into 1 by 1 plus omega square. And we have also calculated the sine integral representation of f of x, where b omega was 2 by pi into omega by root of omega by 1 plus omega square. So all these things can be seen in terms of Fourier transform and sine transform. That is, you consider the function f of x is equal to e raised to minus x, and the Fourier cosine transform or fc cap omega is root of 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity the function into cos omega x dx, which is root of 2 by pi 1 by 1 plus omega square. So this is the cosine transform, and similarly the sine transform is obtained by multiplying this and multiplying sine omega x and integrating. So this is the Fourier sine transform. So you can see the difference between a omega, b omega and this. A omega is just having 2 by pi, whereas this fc cap omega is having root of 2 by pi. So that will be the only difference between the Fourier cosine transform and a omega, and similarly b omega also. So if you want, you can go back from fc cap omega, this is the fc cap omega, to f of x using the Fourier inverse. That is, this f of x is equal to root of 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity fc cap omega into cos omega x d omega. Strikingly similar formulas, but here you should remember that for getting the Fourier transform, you have to integrate with respect to x, and for getting the Fourier inverse transform, you have to integrate with respect to the new variable omega. And the constants are same because we have adopted the Plancherel's formula notation, that is root of 2 by pi has been taken instead of 2 by pi. Okay, similarly the inverse sine transform is given by this. So we'll see another example, because this was already done, and I want to give you another example. So you can take a branch function f of x given as k for 0 less than x less than a and 0 if otherwise. So the function is non-zero only in the branch 0 to a. So what is the Fourier cosine transform? So it is just root of 2 by pi integral 0 to a k into cos omega x dx, where k is the function, and you don't have to integrate from 0 to infinity. The branch is 0 outside 0a, so you need to integrate only from 0 to a. So this will be giving this k will come out, and integral of cos omega is cos omega x is sine omega x by omega, and you integrate from 0 to a. So it will be sine 0 is 0, so one integral will be 0, and the other one, when you put x equal to a, you will be getting sine a omega. So this will be the cosine transform. Similarly, you can find the sine transform. The only difference is that instead of this sine here, we'll be having a cosine, but cos 0 is 1, right? So one limit will be 1, and the other one will be cos a omega itself. So this is the sine transform. So what I'm saying is, if you know how to calculate a omega and b omega, this calculation of the cosine transform and sine transform is very simple. I will see some properties of cosine and sine transforms. The first property is, as in the case of Laplace transform, this Fourier transform is also Fourier cosine transform and sine transform. Both are linear. That is, if you multiply with a constant or sum two functions, the sum can be split and the constant can be taken out. So this A will come out, B will come out, and sum will be split into two. So the same thing will happen if you take Fourier sine transform, Fs also. Next, we want to find the Fourier cosine transform and sine transform of derivatives of functions. So suppose that f of x is a continuous and absolutely integral function on the real line, and function is differentiable. Its derivative is piecewise continuous on every finite interval. These are all the conditions for integrability of the function f of x and f dash x. And suppose that f of x goes to 0 as x tends to infinity, or in simple language you can say that f of infinity is equal to 0. Then under that condition, this condition is also very important, then the Fourier cosine transform of the derivative of f of x is equal to omega into Fourier sine transform of the function minus root of 2 by pi into f of 0. And similarly, the Fourier sine transform of the derivative of f of x is equal to minus omega into Fourier cosine transform of the original function. So you should note that if you take the Fourier cosine transform of the derivative, it's appearing in terms of the Fourier sine transform of the original function. Of course, this constant term is present there. And Fourier sine transform of the derivative is appearing in terms of the Fourier cosine transform of the original function. So the proof is very simple. It just uses the concept of integration by parts. So just write the formula here. So fc of f dash x is equal to, by definition, root of 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity f dash x into cos omega x dx. Now you keep this cos omega x as the first function and f dash x as the second function and integrate by parts. So the root of 2 by pi is kept outside, put a bracket, and cos omega x, this is the first function, into integral of second function. Second function is f dash x. So integral is f of x minus integral of derivative of first function is cos omega x, the derivative is minus sine omega x into omega. So minus of minus, it will be a plus here. So plus omega into integral 0 to infinity f of x into sine omega x dx. Of course, you can take this root of 2 by pi along with the second, this integral expression, and you evaluate the first expression from 0 to infinity. So as the notation says, f of infinity is taken as 0 here. So when you put the upper integral infinity, the first term will be 0, and when you put 0 as a limit, then cos 0 is 1 and f of 0 will remain. So root of 2 by pi into f of 0 with a minus sign, because 0 is in the lower limit. So it will be having a minus sign. So minus root of 2 by pi into f of 0 plus omega into this root of 2 by pi integral 0 to infinity f of x sine omega x dx is nothing but Fourier sine transform of f of x. That's how you get this formula. Similarly, the Fourier sine transform of dash x can be done in the same fashion, integrated by parts, and the answer is here sine 0 is 0 and f of infinity is also 0. So both the upper and lower limits of this function will be 0. So first term will be 0. So minus omega into this Fourier cosine transform of f of x will be remaining. Now we give an example for the use of derivatives of the transforms. So you consider f of x equal to e raised to minus x for x greater than 0. Then what is the derivative of f of x? It is minus e raised to minus x. So Fourier cosine transform of f dash x. F dash x is minus e raised to minus x. So I am taking this minus outside and keeping e raised to minus x inside. So minus Fourier cosine transform of e raised to minus x is equal to by this formula. So I am using this formula. So it is going to be omega into Fourier sine transform of f of x minus root of 2 by pi into Fourier root of 2 by pi into f at 0. F at 0 is e raised to 0, which is 1. Okay, so it's going to be omega into Fourier transform of Fourier sine transform of e raised to minus x minus root of 2 by pi, not 1, it has to be root of 2 by pi here. Okay. So I have missed 1 into root of 2 by pi there. This f of 0 is 1 there. So the advantage is, if you know the Fourier sine transform of e raised to minus x, you can simply say what is the Fourier cosine transform of e raised to minus x. And similarly, if you know the Fourier cosine transform, you can find the Fourier sine transform. Okay. Now we find the Fourier transform of the second derivative. So Fourier cosine transform of f double dash x is equal to omega into this Fourier f double dash is nothing but the derivative of f dash x. So you put instead of f dash x here, you are putting f double dash x, right? That is f dash x second next derivative. So this there will be, so if you take f double dash here, this will become f dash x and this will be f dash 0. So that's what happened here. So omega into fs of f dash x minus root of 2 by pi into f dash at 0. Now this is again, this is Fourier sine transform of f dash x, which can be substituted with this formula. Fs of f dash x is minus omega into fc of f of x. So you get omega into omega, that is minus omega square into fc of f of x minus root of 2 by pi into f dash 0. So the advantage is the second derivative, the function's second derivative, if you take, its cosine transform will be again obtained in terms of the cosine transform of the original function, whereas the first derivative will be, in the case of first derivative, Fourier cosine transform will be given in terms of Fourier sine transform and vice versa. Now you can similarly find the Fourier sine transform of f double dash x as minus omega square fx Fourier sine transform of f of x minus root of 2 by pi omega into f of 0. Okay, here it is f dash 0 and here it is f of 0. If you just apply the same method here, you can easily derive this.